Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 725, and at the same time, obviously, it's the day number 725, consecutive day of blogging and podcasting, which is an amazing thing, amazing feeling for a person like myself. I'm not sure if you feel the same or have the same troubles with establishing certain routines or sticking to habits. And this project was all about it. I always had a problem to do any routine for longer than a month or two, and then it naturally faded away. I got less and less interest in doing things or slipped up and never returned. And this project, writing the blog post every single day and recording the podcast every single day, is ongoing for 725 days. And in a couple of days, probably, I think exactly in about a week's time, I will be celebrating a second anniversary. So 2 years of those routines, which is just, I'm blown away that I was able to sustain it. But I spoke about it many times before. It's just a reminder for those of you that are new to the channel. So let me just get right into the yesterday's update, because yesterday was quite an interesting day. It started pretty mediocre, I would say. We dropped Julian at school and drove with Elizabeth to the bakery shack to get some scones and coffee, and we returned to Rosnala beach, but we parked beside the hotel, so we had the view of the ocean, and we consumed the scones and got some coffee. So it was a very nice weather. It was sunny, albeit we could see the different rainy clouds appearing here and there. And once we ate the scones and finished our coffees, we decided to go for a walk. So Elizabeth went the normal way to the beach, and I did the shortcut because I took my shoes off and socks off, and I wanted to go bare feet. So I went through the stones that are kind of creating that barrier that protects the shore and the hotel from the elements. And we started walking. It was a high tide, or kind of around high tide, so most of the beach closer to the hotel was covered with water, while further down to the place where we usually stand with the sauna, that part of the beach is a bit, I think, higher and it's flatter, but it takes more for the water to get to the shore, so it usually is has more space uncovered. So we went towards it, and as we were reaching out around the point where we usually stay with the sauna, we saw dark clouds coming our way. So we turned back and decided to walk back to the other end of the beach and to the car to get our usual kind of length of 4 to 5k. But we knew that we might get some rain, and indeed, as we were close to our car, but still walking about half a mile or so forth and back to the car, it started raining, lashing raining. People were running away from the beach, those that were there with their coffees and whatever in coats, and I was just in shorts. Well, obviously I had my hoodie and layer underneath it, but I was in shorts and without any shoes or socks. So my legs and feet were already slightly numb from the cold. It was a nice numb kind of feeling of cold, but suddenly it started lashing with hail. So I felt like needles were hitting my calves, and like the cold hail was giving me some good therapy. Uh, it was strangely pleasant to have that and go through it. And when we returned to the car, I just changed the clothes and sat there and recovered the heat. And it was a nice start for the day. And we returned home, and nothing really kind of special happened until we picked Julian from school. He did his homework and all that stuff, and we decided to go a little bit earlier for the evening deploy for Wednesday sauna. And we didn't have any booking, so we were expecting it to be empty. And we know that it will pick up, so we also wanted to leverage that if nobody comes, then Elizabeth wanted to use sauna for herself because she feels great recently after every sauna session, and the ocean dips, so it's very healthy and beneficial. And the evening was amazing. It was beautiful sunset and colors. So it was very windy, but it was nice. And we drove to the beach. I prepped the sauna, I heated it up, and Elizabeth started preparing for her session. And on the way to the beach, we refueled the car. We also picked some coffee and a couple of things, some kindlings and wood, because I knew I need more to make sure that I have enough fuel to heat up the sauna. So we went to the gas station, then drove to the beach. At the beach, I heated the sauna up. And as we were sitting there, Elizabeth started going in and out, and Julian stayed at home playing games. And at some stage, Julian rang me, I think on Snapchat, and asked me what the hell is going on. He heard a knock on the doors, and he thought that it's us, that we came back early, but then he looked through the window. Obviously, he didn't open to anyone. It was the house remained closed, but he spotted that there's a Gardaí car, which is local police car, in our driveway. So he knew that there are kind of, policemen knocking at the door. So he asked me what the hell is going on, and I said to him, like, can you check if they're still there? They were already gone, so he couldn't. I didn't want him to open the door without them being there. And obviously, you never know if these are real policemen. So, if there's no adult at home, I want to make sure that he's safe. But then I said to him that no bother, keep playing and we'll figure it out. So I was sitting in the car and worrying what the hell is going on, because I couldn't come up with anything. I'm not even speeding, so, and usually even if I would, they would basically, send me some fine or something like that, not coming to the door and knocking. So I asked the group that we have on WhatsApp around neighborhood if anyone else was visited by Gardaí, and people said that no, there was no one there. So I kept worrying a bit, and suddenly some black car turned on the beach, and it was one of those cars, professional cars from some department, and I read that this is like a department of defense or something, like defense forces. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And earlier on there was a helicopter, like the rescue helicopter, flying above the beach. So I'm like, I felt a little bit, well, people that play games, you probably understand the reference to Grand Theft Auto or GTA. I felt like I turned 3 or 4 stars, which means basically that you do some crime and more forces start chasing you. So it starts with local police, then you start getting barricades, and then military comes in, and it's a huge kind of chase against you. So, but obviously, the car from Defense Forces or whatever was there just out of duty. So somebody came with a girlfriend or wife, and they just drove away. Nothing happened. So I decided to ring police station and check with them. And the lady said that she will take my name and number and pass it on to the patrol, and they will ring me back. So I was waiting kind of anxiously, and they rang me back after some time. And it was a funny situation because I was so worried. I was coming with some weird, dark scenarios that something bad happened or whatever. And it turned out that while we were at this gas station, I was paying for the wood and the coffees, and the guy started kind of struggling because he double charged me for something and started getting refund, etc. And once we were sorted, I left with Elizabeth and we drove away. But they usually ask you if, on top of whatever groceries or stuff you buy, if you also did like any fuel. And he didn't ask me, and I completely forgot. So I actually refueled the car beforehand, and I didn't pay for fuel. And they picked that on the cameras. And obviously the procedure is to report it to police, and then police checks the registration, and they know then which address to go to and, ask questions. So I felt a bit like criminal, but it turned out that I just simply, there was some commotion, and it was really, really busy at the time when we were at the gas station. And both the attendant and myself, we completely forgot about the fuel. I forgot that I tanked, or kind of, I refueled, and he forgot to ask me if there was any fuel, so I could kind of trigger that thought in my head, and oh yes, there was fuel, and the number of the pump, whatever, and usually they just add it, and I paid for everything else. I just forgot to tell him about the fuel, and yeah, that was the story. So the only thing I needed to do is on the way back, we just popped into the gas station. Supervisor from the gas station basically has like a, I don't know, report number, and they just kind of, I just paid for the fuel, and they gave me receipt just for my records as a proof, and they will just basically cancel that report. But it was funny from the perspective that, our psychology works in the way that if you don't know and you have no idea what might have happened, you create all those kind of dark scenarios and whatever you did. But in the end, like most of the cases that we are worried about and scenarios that we create, none of them actually come to fruition, and it's usually something very trivial or silly. So that was the highlight of the day, I must say. But I was so drained afterwards after that situation. And it was the second day of those funny, not funny situations where something happened and mentally drained me. Like the day before, it was that little stone that went into the braking system and caused the screeching that the whole town could hear. And I thought that my car is just breaking apart. And this time it was a police report, and I thought that they are chasing me for some fucking crime. But it turned out to be that's why I just forgot. And when I asked, when I told that to the policeman on the phone, he said like, "Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. We just need to follow up and make sure that it's paid, and that's it." So that's what's great about police here. They are here to keep people in check, but not in a way that they aim to incriminate you or something like that. It's more about kind of, being that overlooking body, that big brother, but in a good sense, mostly. And fortunately, at the end of the day, we had 2 returning customers, very chatty, nice guys that popped in. So it wasn't an empty evening, even though it was Wednesday and it was very empty and very quiet. At least we got someone, so it starts building up. Unfortunately, the Thursday, which is today as I recorded, we were in Dublin, and about it I will be talking tomorrow, but that means that we were off and we earned nothing, so there was no revenue today. It was a day off, so we need to pick up tomorrow and over the weekend and see if we can get at least an average revenue. But about it, I will be talking tomorrow. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.